Hello, I'm Major Pritchard. Thank you for watching today's Canada Regional Forecast, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. One more time, I want to remind you we did give a revamp to the Nutrien Ag Solutions weather story landing page, and I want to direct your attention there because it impacts the scheduling with the Canadian Regional Forecast. They used to come out Tuesday and Friday mornings, lumped in with our 4 United States regions, but we wanted to break Canada off from there. You're not a small little region. We want to give you your own spot. So you do live over here on the big picture forecast side now, over on the right-hand side of the screen. If you just click down here at the bottom icon there, your Canada forecast, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, those will be brand new. If you don't have an account, if you're watching these videos on YouTube, it's free and it takes about 30 seconds. Don't be overwhelmed by the daunting task of creating an account so you can log in here every day. Just need an email address and a password. You're ready to go, and you can get this content every single day. Eric and I are putting out new forecasts every day as it pertains to agriculture across North America. So jumping in, your jet stream picture here across the North American continent on Friday morning, a big ridge over the Pacific Ocean, trough in the west, and a ridge over the east. That has kept us warm across the Midwestern United States and across the eastern half of the prairie, with some cooler temperatures trying to work their way into parts of Alberta. But it'll be a warmer next few days, but we are moving into a transitional period here across the Canadian prairie. In the next 5 days, your temperature outlook a bit misleading. We do keep the warmth in here. I guess it's not entirely misleading. The next few days are going to be warm, but as we head into mid next week, we are flipping the script here, and we'll be changing over to a cooler pattern after we've enjoyed several weeks of warmer weather across a big chunk of the prairie, especially the east. The next week, your precipitation forecast, we've got a couple corridors setting up here across North America, one here across the Corn Belt, and then another one across the eastern prairie here from the northern plains of the U.S. into parts of Manitoba and eastern Saskatchewan. Also onshore flow, going to keep things active here along coastal British Columbia. Across the main section of the Canadian prairie here that includes southern, or at least southwestern Saskatchewan into southern and central Alberta, near average but some patchy dryness here. Rain chance is going to be isolated and scattered in nature over the next 5 days. The satellite picture here as we wake up on Friday morning. We've got an area of low pressure making its way along the U.S. and the Canadian border. Stop me if you've heard that one before. We've got some heavy rain and thunderstorms working their way across southern Manitoba right now. Our next little wave coming blasting in, some stronger jet stream winds coming in from the west. Here's a look at that radar picture. Again, a squall line making its way across parts of southern Manitoba this morning. That will be coming through Winnipeg here in the next few hours, here mid to late morning. And then again, some light shower activity hanging off to the backside. And this is really the theme over the next 5 days here across a big chunk of, again, Alberta and then southern Saskatchewan here. Much lighter, isolated precipitation chances where we're not bone dry, but not promising any heavy rain in this area either. There's the word I'm looking for. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at where the jet stream's going. This is going to show us the transition here. Again, our trough over the western part of the United States here at this ridge that's kept us warmer over the eastern half of the prairie. As we take this into the next week, we start to see this trough develop over the prairie early next week, right around Tuesday, Wednesday. Kind of starts to park itself in the region then, and we kind of resume a pattern where the western U.S. is a bit cooler, the eastern half of the U.S. a bit warmer, but the Canadian prairie going to start locking into some of those cooler temperatures as well, and this looks like a pattern that wants to hang on as we go into the end of September. So switching over to a cooler pattern across the Canadian prairie. Your precipitation forecast again, as we head through the day here, watching for some heavy rain across southeastern Saskatchewan into southern Manitoba from this storm system that's moving on off to the south over the next 24 to 48 hours. Heavy rain possible even as we head into Saturday night across that region. Drying out as we head into Sunday and Monday. And then getting into early next week, we'll watch the storm system kind of track through parts of the northern prairie here, or well north of that, actually, really northern Saskatchewan into northern Manitoba. Perhaps some rain here Monday and Tuesday. And then the theme continuing here across the rest of the prairie here with just some of these light precipitation opportunities with more heavy rain possible across southern Manitoba. That seems to be the favored corridor here for the more heavy precipitation. This will be another storm system coming through here Tuesday night into Wednesday across southern Manitoba, and then some really cooler temperatures coming in. Here's another storm system tracking through across the U.S.-Canada border, possibly next weekend. We'll talk about that more as we get into next week, but you're seeing some blue shading show up here. That is a signal of that cooler air coming in. Maybe a chance for some snowflakes, especially across parts of Alberta into parts of Saskatchewan as we get into the end of next week. Not talking about accumulating snow across the lower lying prairie area, but we may see a few areas here see their first flakes falling from the sky here in the form of maybe a light flurry or two as we get into late next week. We'll talk about that more as we get into next week as well. Looking at the total accumulated precipitation from the next 5 days from the GFS model, again, the heaviest precipitation falling across southern Manitoba and across the rest of the prairie. Very light, isolated chances for some precipitation. Not totally dry, but really the favorite area for the next 5 days is going to continue to be southern Manitoba. A look at your temperature forecast here. Again, that red shading across the east, that is where we continue to have warmer temperatures as we get started here on Friday. We'll go ahead and we'll clicking too fast. We'll jump back here, bringing it back to the weekend, taking it into early next week, keeping those warmer temperatures locked in, especially here as we get to the back half of the weekend. Sunday and Monday looking pretty warm across a big chunk of the prairie, but then as we head into mid to late next weekend, here we go. You're seeing those blue colors beginning to invade and setting up shop across the Canadian prairie, and that is where we would see temperatures anywhere between 5 to 10 degrees, perhaps more across portions of southern Alberta, below average, 5 to 10 degrees Celsius, that is, as we head into the next weekend. With that, we will see the chances for some frost across the region. This is a look at our frost probability plot. As we start off now, warmer temperatures in the region, obviously not talking about frost as we head through this weekend. Not talking about frost until we head into, again, mid to late next week, when we start to see the possibility of some frost working its way in. We'll go ahead and time this out. We'll take it in Wednesday, Thursday, and then we're now getting into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of next weekend, starting to see those cooler temperatures drop into the region, and that's where we see the chance for some frost making its way into especially northern portions of the prairie, but seeing at least a low probability, maybe even of some frost all the way into parts of southern Alberta and southern Saskatchewan and southern Manitoba as we head into next weekend. We'll talk much more about this in higher detail. I don't want to scare anyone or make promises here with these first snowflakes or the first frost making its way in here, but we're seeing a pretty consistent signal towards the end of next week with a much cooler air mass making its way in, with the possibility of those first flakes and some frost making its way in. Just kind of teasing you right now, teasing the idea, letting you know this is what we're seeing at the end of next week in the 7 to 10 day time frame. Zooming in on Alberta, taking a look at your total precipitation. Again, look at the very isolated, scattered nature over the next 5 days. No corridors of real significant precipitation expected across Alberta here, but certainly the opportunities for some very light rain. As you head off towards the south, the southern prairie, that's where we probably got the lowest probability of rain here across southern Alberta over the next 5 days. If anywhere it's going to remain totally dry, it'd probably be you folks in southern Alberta. Your high temperatures here over the next several days, the next 5 days, mid to upper teens for the day on Friday, warming up slightly into the weekend. Saturday and Sunday's probably going to be your warmest couple of days here before this cooler air mass makes its way in, starting to cool off on Tuesday, and then cooling off even more as we head into the day. This would actually be Tuesday right here, so cooling off Monday, then heading into Tuesday. Pivoting off to the east, looking at Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Again, your heaviest precipitation for the next 5 days is going to be right here across southern Manitoba, and the heaviest of that precipitation falling over the next 24 to 48 hours here, Friday into Saturday. Drying out slightly as we head into early next week, but still an opportunity for another late week storm system to drop some precipitation across the region. But it looks like Friday and Saturday are going to be your heaviest rain over the next 5 days across southern Manitoba. High temperatures for the next 5 days here, the mid-teens to near 20 degrees across much of the area, although a bit warmer off to the south, southern Manitoba flirting with the upper 20s to near 30 degrees on Friday afternoon. Heading into Saturday now, Sunday warming up again as we head into the back half of the weekend, Monday, and then cooler weather starting to come in as we get into the later part of the week. By the time we get to Tuesday, looking at high temperatures from the lower 20s across southern Alberta into the mid to lower teens across central portions of Saskatchewan and Manitoba. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have an in-depth look at the evolution of the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Monday morning ag forecast video, and that is when I will have your next Canadian Prairie regional forecast where we can take a look ahead, checking in on those cooler temperatures late next week. Have a great day and a wonderful weekend.